Welcome into Motorsports Monday. The end of summer means that the NASCAR action is only heating up. One final race in the regular season before the NASCAR playoffs. And what better place to go to than the World Center of Racing? Daytona International Speedway, the host for the Coke Zero Sugar 400, with one final spot up for grabs in the playoff. Stage 2 was as intense as it gets before on the final lap of the stage, Ryan Blaney gets hooked by Ty Gibbs and slams into the outside wall. Blaney was obviously shaken up, but was able to climb out of his car under his own power. This wreck took out last year's winner, Austin Dillon, and multiple others looking for their spot in the playoffs. Brad Keselowski does win the stage, giving him a much-needed bonus point for the playoffs. In the final stage now, and here's one of the more violent crashes you'll ever see in NASCAR. Ryan Preece gets airborne and barrel rolls 10 times before he finally lands on all fours, but the car is torn to shreds. Preece was clipped in the middle of the backstretch, and that sent him racing uncontrollably towards the grass in the infield. Watch on this slow-mo replay here in a second. As this car hits the grass, it begins to flip, and it is on from there. Thankfully, Preece was able to get out of the car with help from the AMR safety team. He did get transported to a local hospital where he stayed overnight, but thankfully, he was released on Sunday morning. Following this wreck, there was a green-white checkered to decide the final spot in the playoffs, with playoff hopefuls Chase Elliott and Eric Almirola near the front, but in the end, the RFK team strikes again. Chris Buescher, with a push from his boss Brad Keselowski, he's able to get the win, his third win in the last 5 races. Buescher has quickly become one of the favorites now to win the championship. I will say this race always delivers. There's not a better track to end the regular season. NASCAR moved the race from the traditional date of 4th of July weekend a few years ago, and it's delivered in a big way ever since then. Here's a look at the top 5 from this one. Behind the Roush Fenway Keselowski drivers, Eric Almirola finished 3rd, followed by Chase Elliott. Both Elliott and Almirola needed a win to get into the playoffs, but were unable to do so. Joe Logano also rounds out the top 5 there. Speaking of the playoffs, here's a look at the playoff standings as NASCAR heads to Darlington for the Southern 500 to kick off the first round of the playoffs. A couple notes here. William Byron and regular season points champion Martin Truex Jr. are 1st and 2nd, both with 36 playoff points to begin the round. Bubba Wallace was able to point his way into the playoffs after the race Saturday, his first career trip to those playoffs. Team owner Michael Jordan was at the race Saturday night to congratulate him there. The first round consists of races at Darlington, Kansas, with the elimination race set for the night race at Bristol, which several people from this area will likely be attending. To local racing now, Lake Cumberland Speedway had the track's biggest race ever this past Saturday in the 12th annual Harold Hardgrove Memorial. Northern Kentucky's own Josh Rice gets the win and the over $15,000 purse. Rice is someone who's been on a tear this summer, winning yet another race at Lake Cumberland Speedway. Skylar Marlar and Greg Johnson finished 2nd and 3rd. Rod Conley and Trip Gerald round out the top 5. A lot of local racing for Labor Day weekend as well. Lake Cumberland, Thunder Mountain Speedway there in Corbin, Rock Castle Speedway, and Mud Lake Valley Raceway are all in action. So if you have any plans this weekend to head to those tracks, weather's looking good for you there as well.
Just amazing those guys can walk away from a crash like what we saw.
That happens in any other form of motorsports or happens to a regular driver. I mean, that could be catastrophic, but thankfully the safety measures over the last 20 years have really improved in NASCAR.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, 6:53, stay with us.